Hello and welcome to The Love Experiment. This is your invitation to join me. I am really interested in the power of love to change anything and everything. And I think when we come together to do that, something amazing happens. In every episode of this series, I'm going to be reminding you of the truth of who you are and that we can trust in the incredible power behind life. It has got our back to move us into the future. So hello and welcome. My name's Deborah. In this episode, I want to talk about who or what is God, source energy, mind, whatever word it is you use for that power behind life. What is it? And I am not even going to attempt to pretend that I can tell you that. I can know for you what that is. This episode is an invitation to look and play for yourself. Because your own experience is the only thing that is truly going to guide you in answering this question. And I think it is a hugely important question for each one of us to answer for ourselves. If you're listening to this video, I'm pretty certain that you know that there is something way more to you than the human form that you are in whilst you are here in this world having a human experience. I think you already know there is something way more to you than that. And this question is looking in the direction of what that is. And if I'm honest, that is the whole experiment. That is everything that is going on here. When we get curious about what that power is, look in the direction of what that power is, lean into it, trust it, know that it is our inner guidance, that's when everything changes. And when there are troubles and difficulties, whether that is personal troubles and difficulties, whether it is money stuff, relationship stuff, health stuff, literally anything, you could say anything you could bring up. There is nothing that you could come here that you could say that you were facing, whether personally or whether on a global level, that I truly know in my soul that if we look in this direction, answer this question, even if it is phrased slightly different and God isn't the right word for you, if we look in this direction of who is God for each of us individually, what is that? When we truly get curious, look in that direction and ask ourselves that question, amazing things happen. So I'm going to share some of the things that I have seen through looking in this direction, both what has come to me in shifts in my very being, because that to me is what this investigation shows to us, that who we are being shifts. And very often when we are describing changes and when we are trying to explain to others huge changes that we have and things we know within us, that knowing is a shift in being. And that is why it can't be, it's not contained in the words. What we are sharing cannot be shared purely through words. It is our very being as those words come out of us, if that makes sense. Like, we can say the same thing and we can do the same thing. It is our level of consciousness, you might call it, that what is behind that speaking, what is behind that doing, that is the difference that makes the difference. And that shift in our being, that happens through this power behind life, this unexplained power that is not on us. It is our inner guidance, something that we can't quite grasp, and yet we can know. So when we ask this question, who or what is God? For me, what I can really see is initially, and certainly as a youngster and coming through religion, I am not religious anymore, although I love the Bible. I think it is an amazing book. There are some incredible things in there, which I will be sharing in further videos. But when I was a child and God, this idea was first shared with me, it felt like God was something out here. A man in the sky with a white beard who was judging me, who knew more than me, who was going to force me to punish me if I did things wrong. guide me, but maybe would disapprove of the things that I loved and I wanted. All of these kinds of things, rather like our earthly parents, if you like. Well-meaning, but having totally different ideas, a different perspective, seeing things differently, and out here. And I needed to change myself to be in line with God. And I guess that was how that misunderstanding was what created my problems. For those of you that don't know my story, and it really feels like a story now, I was in an abusive relationship for many, many years. And this happened, this came about through who I was being. And who I was being came about through this misunderstanding that I needed to change myself so that I could be loved, so that I could connect with God, if you like. And I don't think that was a conscious thing. That just felt like the way that the world was, the way that I was being pointed. And that was both earthly people, you know, my parents, my friends, to be accepted in society, to be loved, to feel like I was a part of something, to feel connection. It felt like I couldn't be myself, and yet that was the fundamental mistake. The connection was actually already there when I would allow myself to be myself. So for me, this investigation, this question asking who, what is God, what I see is there is no separation here. There is no God out there trying to force me into anything or do anything. It's like I am an aspect of the allness of everything. And that to me is what God is. God is the allness of everything. I am an aspect of that. And when I am in line with that, I am in line with who I am, my deepest desires, my deepest truth, my deepest knowing, me, all of me, when I am aligned with that. There is no misalignment here. There is no force into doing things I don't want to do. There is an absolute, utter and complete, beautiful doing, being, living as all of the truth of who I am when I align with that. And that may be different for all of us. And a huge part of this aligning is seeing that this power, God, has many, many aspects. And all of these other aspects, when we are here in human form, when we are here playing this game, doing this, all of those other aspects, it's not our job to change them, to save them, to force them to do any of these things. Our job is to be ourselves, to follow our deepest truth and calling, to ask ourselves this question, to look in the direction, and to do everything in life, if you like, in partnership with this deeper part of who we are. When we try to go it alone, that's when we get into these situations like I got into, when we try to separate and go it alone. When we join forces with this amazing, beautiful, incredible power that is us, that is within us, that we are within, that is the allness of everything, that's when things start to unfold beautifully. And it is incredibly practical. You know, when you have problems with your finances, when you can't pay a bill, when you want to buy a piece of land and build a house and have no idea how to do that, and yet you know that that is a calling and a desire, there is a way, there is a path. And the path will be shown to you when you align with your deeper, truer self. That's how it works. Amazing things happen. And as I said, the practicality of it, when you have problems with your children, problems with your health, problems with your business, problems with your job, again, literally anything. So almost the two parts of there are two parts to this, and it is almost like as you ask the question, who or what is God, you also ask the question, who or what am I? Because there is a huge part of this of seeing how much more there is to you. You are the allness of everything. You have a connection to this. You can tap into And maybe, you know, whilst you're here in human form, the part that you will tap into, what you are interested in, what you are passionate about, what you are called to do, there isn't a mistake there. And you will be called to tap into the part that makes sense to you, that lights you up, that is you. Ultimately, you are all of it. Being human, we limit ourselves. We are God squeezed into the absolute limitation, the smallest limitation we can get to have this beautiful, amazing human experience. And it becomes a beautiful, amazing, fantastic human experience when we really deeply ask ourselves this question, and from our own lived experience, from our own internal investigations, which, you know, that is what I'm here sharing, to point you in that direction. You can be helped with that. It's not something you even have to do alone in human form, but that questioning, what is that, who is that, and therefore what am I, who am I, on not in the human name level of what we are, but in the deeper truth level, who we are. So looking in this direction is the most practical thing you can do in, you know, real terms, in real life. When the proverbial hits the fan, it is the most practical thing that we can, the investigation that we can be in, to live a life of peace and calm and truth and love, with all of the ups and downs with life that will be around. This is the most practical thing we can do that. If we want to create a life we love, if we want to play in creation in that way, this is the investigation. If we want to have an amazing family, have an amazing relationship, have a lot of money and a lot of things in life, if we want to live a simple life and come back to the planet and the earth and what this is, it really, really, there are no mistakes what we are called to do. But the way to truly do that through our hearts is, in our own individual way, be asking ourselves this question: who or what is God? Therefore, who am I? So I am really, really interested in where this investigation takes you, what you see for yourself, because it is an amazing and beautiful exploration. I'm going to invite you to have a look at the show notes. There are ways to connect with me more deeply in more places. I'm always up to doing all sorts of things. And your comments, your shares, your sharing this video with somebody who you think can benefit from it. Because what greater gift can we give another person but the gift of transforming their being too? So if you know there are people that are interested, please do share. There is no greater gift we can give to another. And I will be back very, very soon with another video. Take care. Lots of love. Bye for now.